Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a historical Humans Reacts. And on today's episode, we are looking at a prominent Italian dealer has been charged with trafficking thousands of looted artifacts. And the fact of how he was caught, I think, is honestly really astonishing.
Yeah. So basically, we have a antiquities dealer named Eduardo El Magia, and the police in New York are currently after him. They've released an 80-page warrant for his arrest, which is honestly quite massive. And the reason for this is because the list of crimes alleged against him is numbering in the thousands.
I mean,
It's the same crime 1,000 times.
considering he's accused of trafficking tens of millions of dollars worth of Roman sculptures, Etruscan pottery, and other valuable artworks and artifacts. And the story was broken by Colin Moynihan of the New York Times, which one of the things I find incredible is one of the pieces of evidence they have against Al Magia is that many of these items were written in a ledger known as the Green Book, which he had kept track of.
Yep.
And it was honestly incredible because one of the things that he did um, was keep this ledger, and that's actually how they managed to catch him for some of his crimes because the Manhattan District's attorney the Manhattan District Attorney's Office had an antiquities tracking unit that got snippets of the Green Book via an informant, and then that person tried to photocopy it. Al Magia saw it, retrieved the ledger from the informant, and took the book before it could be entirely copied. So they only had a few pages and a few details. But what he didn't realize was that dozens of the pages of the book had already been printed and stacked in the photocopier tray.
Yep. Yeah. So effectively, he didn't check the photocopier after he retrieved his book. And yeah, now the district attorney has a financial record of all these things he claims to not know about
which
suddenly changing hands with him.
which I want to know how the informant managed to get in touch with it because he normally kept the list in his New York City apartment hidden inside a Renaissance era chest beneath a marble statue of a deer.
Yeah, that's a lot of old timey, point and click mystery adventure level of secrets there.
Where's the secret ledger? Is it over here? Is it under this statue?
Yeah, we're gonna play Uncharted, but first we must figure out how to move these statues in order to make coffee.
And like anyone who gets caught, he goes full send. And he has commented that this is absolutely ridiculous. If they want to put me on trial, let them do it. We're getting to a point where whenever you touch an antiquity, you are a crook. But
Yeah,
usually you're a criminal and a crook if you're buying from alleged tomb raiders or looters, which is exactly where this crime really becomes a problem is because a lot of the stuff that he traded in worked to acquire antiquities stolen from Italy, mark them as legal, display them openly in well-known institutions to increase their value, and then sell them for additional profit.
yep. Now, what's interesting with this little scheme is the Manhattan and New York District Attorney's offices. They've been after him since 2018. This is a 6-year investigation they're going into. But this is not the first time he's been caught with illegal objects. In the year 2000, he was stopped at the JFK airport for carrying 2 stolen frescoes in his suitcase.
Then, just 6 short years later, law enforcement officials searched his apartment on the Upper East Side, where he surrendered several items and ended up fleeing to Italy.
Yeah, which I know Italy is like any nation, does they're gonna want to protect one of their own. At the same time, this feels like the sort of crime that would piss the Italian government off.
And, like any good villain of the story, El Magia tells the Times that prosecutors are going too far, characterizing it recent efforts to investigate illegal antiquities as witch hunts, and for his charges, I do not deny them, but I do not accept them. That is
Yeah,
the most nothing like admittance you
yeah,
could possibly do of
that
like,
is
they might be stolen, but you're going a
yes,
little too hard.
yeah. It's like yeah, there's no way in hell I'm innocent, but how dare you prosecute me?
And it just blows
This
me away. And
title.
one of the antiquities units members, the head of the department, Matthew Bogdanos, says if El Magio is the first name on your provenance, it's stolen. That is well known, and that's a pretty damning uh, statement just from anyone, including the person trying to prosecute you, because you would imagine that he's probably got a pretty good case behind him. If this man has been caught at least 5 different times smuggling in stolen goods. Like, it is incredible how long this man has worked. And part of the issue with this and why he's so prominent is because he's managed to get these stolen goods into museums that in reality should be doing the proper research into the items they're acquiring, into the items they're displaying, and to have a ironclad provenance of the artifacts.
Yeah. He's been doing this for 40 years. He started off in the 80s, and he's not been stopped since.
Even though
And yeah,
he's had the brushes with the law.
yeah. Well, he's had brush with law, but no one has managed to put a stop. He keeps coming back to continue to deal in illegal antiquities. If he didn't keep coming back, that airport stop in 2000 at JFK would have been the end of it.
This is actually a really good point too that we should probably. I know we've talked about in the past, but this is one of the reasons why it can be beneficial to keep items in their native countries, to have museums and institutes in those native areas, so that way smuggling doesn't take place. And a lot of times, smuggling happens in, either large scale in the event of war or disruption to the everyday flow. I mean, the Middle East was hemorrhaging artifacts for decades and still is to a lot of degree now. But in places like Italy, it's pawned off as, legitimate or a hidden find or secret, a private collector for years coming to market for the very first time. And, people accept that. They go, oh, okay, that's legitimate. And you have people like Eduardo here who just continues the malicious work.
Yeah, it's not even really about scarcity with a lot of the Greco-Roman artifacts. It's about essentially desire. These, the classical civilizations are seen as sort of higher degree of prestige for a museum to have. So the museums are willing to be a little shadier about how they acquire it, even though there are still many Greek and Roman artifacts out there in the world circulating legitimately. It's it's scarcity, it's prestige, it's disruption. All these things enable this kind of smuggling,
And
and it's really pretty stupid. It's the sort of crime that benefits no one. You're just ripping people off and essentially destroying people's pasts.
but yeah, and on that terrible bombshell, thank you guys for watching. And if you enjoyed, let us know down below, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.